Hiya and welcome to the Business Book Club, an informal sit-down with business people in Northern Ireland exploring some of the books that excite them about what's happening inside their business at the minute. And our first one is Grit, The Power of Passion and Perseverance. It looks at, do you get better at things just by keeping trying? Now, I know it sounds like an obvious question, but this book argues that talent is either A, non-existent, or at least nowhere near as important as your ability to stick at things so long as you possibly can to get better at them. Forbes said that this is the most important leadership book in 2016. The Washington Post said that this is the one to watch. In a few sentences, I'll give you my view on the book. The first thing is, I do think practice and sticking at things is really important. And that's the fundamental tenet of the book. The second thing, it suggests that the harder things are, and the longer we work at them, as long as we care about them and want to do them, the better we'll get at it. In a few sentences, what did you think of the book?
I think it's an important book around the areas of stickability, concept that we probably haven't thought of just as much as before, predictors of success, is it a formula, not so sure about that bit of it, and what is the prediction that you will actually make it to the finish line and what we can do to help people make it to the finish line. So yeah, I think it's a good book.
Angela says, grit, tenacity, perseverance is more important than talent. Do you agree?
Yes, I do agree.
Do you?
I do, yeah. I reckon if I tried to read people's minds for 10,000 hours, I would be able to be as good as a man.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. First of all, you don't even wear glasses. How does grit apply in your job?
Accountancy would be known as one of the most exciting subjects in the world, so you have to be really gritty to get through an accountancy degree, and even grittier to get through your professional qualifications. You have to really, really want to be a chartered accountant to spend 7 years looking at numbers and balancing books. So I think there's a lot of gritty accountants about. That was another point. So if you haven't got grit, can you transfer your grit onto somebody else? So according to Angela, do you have to have somebody there to give you grit at times, or to say, don't quit today, and today's not the day. So yeah, I think we are very good at transferring our grit onto other people whenever they need help and saying, look, this is going to be okay. There's always a solution.
One thing that really amazed me about this book was, because she's an academic, she's a researcher, she's come up with a model of grit. And not only a model, a measure, so we can test and see how gritty we are. And you should go and do the test. Look for the information below this video, do a test, and you can establish your own grit score. The reason it's important to do that is, in her research, she has found that grit is an extraordinarily reliable determinant of lots of things. For instance, people who score higher on grit are dramatically 100% more likely to go to college, and they're 200% more likely to actually complete it. So should we start measuring every prospective employee for grit? Should we start testing our kids on grit?
I think that I could be wrong, and I have done the test, and you can look at my score, but I don't think that test is got enough scientific basis. Again, the auditor in me, where's the evidence here to support it? I don't think that the measure we've got is just foolproof just yet. So I wouldn't be personally commending. I think there's other attributes and competencies aside from that, just that one measure.
Well, we should say that it's come under an awful lot of criticism since it's been published. So a lot of people say that actually the author has massively overstated the role that grit plays versus talent and natural predisposition. But I took an awful lot away from it. For me, one thing is, I think the power of practice. The power of taking time and knowing that I'm a bit rubbish at this now, but I'll be 1% less rubbish tomorrow and maybe 5% less rubbish next month, and it might take 5 years.
So practice makes perfect? Is that what we're saying here?
Maybe I think what she's missing is, I think that she's saying it's just perseverance. But you also have to have quality practice as part of that perseverance.
Well, if you're passionate about it, you have to make the time, and that was the point that came across. How gritty were you?
I was 3.4.
And I was 3.6.
So what does that say? You think you're better than me?
Just harder.
Yeah, well, I would agree with that, actually, because I'm kind of a princess, and you're not. One of the other things that the author points out is that communities that have gone through really difficult times develop tremendous grit.
So are people in Northern Ireland really gritty?
Well, maybe. I think so. Well, if you look at, we've had a an interesting 20, 30 years in Northern Ireland. And now we've got a burgeoning, growing, emergent entrepreneurial culture. We've got people who love and are passionate about working for themselves, not always in big businesses, but in micro businesses and in
Fabulous
SMEs.
business leaders.
So is that grit? Are we a gritty nation?
Maybe it's not a US-centric concept. Maybe we already had it, we just didn't realise.
What would you recommend people do with this book?
I think if you're interested in education, if you are a parent, or if you're wanting to be a business leader, or you're trying to learn something or master a new skill, or something you think that you haven't got the God-given talent for, or what does Angela say? High achievers aren't born with God-given talent. I would have a go at reading this book.
For me, the biggest negative about the book was just its length. I think it could have been done exactly the same job in 75% or 85% less volume.
Yeah.
I just think it's ironic that you needed quite a lot of grit to get all the way through it, given its length.
Maybe the book's a test in itself.
Maybe the book is a test in itself. Laura, thanks for taking time to share your ideas with the book. Laura and I are going to be here every single episode with a brand new guest talking about books that mean something to them in business in Northern Ireland. And our next book is Mindset by Carol Dweck. It looks at the hard science of what it is that makes us tick as individuals, the things that make us want to be high performers inside or outside of work. So pick that up in the meantime. But before you do, we want to know what you thought of grit. So like, comment, share. If you do, anyone who does get involved in social media, you'll have the opportunity to win next episode's book. But we need to hear what you thought of it. So take a bit of time to read it. Let us know any questions that you have on what we thought. Drop us a line on any of the channels that you're watching this on. And we'll see you next time at the Business Book Club.